I'm Chuck Liddell, and you better watch this interview on campussports.net.
Hi, I'm Dave Osco for campussports.net, and we're here for another timeout. Today we get to interview UFC legend, the Iceman, Chuck Liddell, at his home, and there might be a special guest. Check it out.
You're watching Timeout on campussports.net.
All right, campussports.net, we are here with the Iceman himself, the legendary Chuck Liddell. Chuck, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, no problem.
What are you smiling at?
You. You make me laugh. I'm sorry.
I know I make you laugh. I know, because we're pals, that's why.
Yeah, pals.
All right, so first of all, I want to ask you, how has MMA changed since your time in the Octagon?
Well, I mean, that's a complex question. And we got... Oh, coming in to say hi.
Who is this?
He wants to hang out.
What's your name?
Tell him what her name is. You don't want to talk? It's Guinevere.
Guinevere.
I'm saying Ariel.
Oh, you're Ariel now? Oh, Ariel. Okay, Ariel. Say, have you met Ariel?
Hi, Ariel.
Well, anyway, so MMA, it's a complex question. Now, if you want to start from when I started,
Right.
I mean, when I came into the sport, it was a bunch of guys doing, everybody had something coming in. You come in with boxing or kickboxing or wrestling or jiu-jitsu, and you tried to add the other elements. There's basically three elements. There's striking, wrestling, which I consider, taking takedowns and getting, and then there's jiu-jitsu, which is on the ground.
Now, your background came, you were a collegiate wrestler.
I wrestled at Cal Poly, wrestled all 4 or 5 years. I redshirted and wrestled 4 years there. So, and then I started kickboxing with John, and then kind of fell into MMA. A guy I was doing Nick Blomgren, One Kick Nick, was doing a show at the Orleans, and he was going to put some mixed fights on the card. They're kind of pancreas style, old pancreas style. We go open palm, and you could kick and strike and do the jiu-jitsu stuff. So, he asked me if I'd do it. He knew I wrestled in college. He said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Sure, I'll try it." So I started doing some jiu-jitsu.
And you were an accounting major in college?
I was an accounting major in college, yeah.
So you were headed to be a CPA, and then this kind of all took off.
And then it kind of just, as I was finishing school, I did the kickboxing. I kind of didn't want to get a real job, so I kept fighting, and was hoping that was going to go somewhere. Right when it was starting to go, you know what, it's about time to get a real job, this fight came up. And I went and did it. I wound up knocking the guy out in the first round, and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, man, do you want to fight in the UFC?" I said, "Yeah, I've been watching on TV. How do I do it? Yeah, well, I'm in.
Sign me up."
Back then, what we were doing, we were trying to figure out how to mix everything together. Everyone's trying. Back then, it was like we were all trying to figure out how do you work jiu-jitsu and wrestling and striking and boxing and everything together. How do you mix it all together and train for it? And how do you get in shape for it? How do you got different guys cutting weight? How do you do different things? Nowadays, one of the biggest difference I think is there's a lot of, you come into a gym, they've got trainers, strength and conditioning, nutrition. They've got guys that know how to train MMA.
Yeah.
They know how to train, mix all these disciplines, how to put them together, how to start coaching you from whatever your background is.
Right.
I started karate when I was 12. I started wrestling when I was 14. Started kickboxing, after I was done wrestling in college, and then didn't start mixing it all together. Didn't start jiu-jitsu until '97, really.
Right.
And then started mixing everything together and trying to piece it together and put it together and put our own spin on it.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the biggest changes I've seen.
Now
on top of that, there's the money. There's also the money.
Of course.
The money's changed from, it's big business. I mean, the first time I fought, I got $1,000 guaranteed.
Wow.
And it was a chance to get into a tournament to win 10 or 20 grand if I took second or first. And I was an alternate, so I didn't actually get in the tournament, so I went on. My next fight was for $4,000. I mean, it was $1,000 to show up and three extra if I won down in Brazil. That was 30 minutes straight, bare knuckle, pretty much no rules. I mean, they had a couple small rules. You could headbutt still, you can kick to the groin still, you can strike to the neck still. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of rules back then. So, you know, it was a lot different that way. There's a lot bigger money element now.
Right.
And I think a lot of different ways that affects the fighting a little bit. You know, guys get a little more concerned about what's this going to do about my ranking, what's this going to do about my money. As a fight fan, that's not what I want to watch. I don't want to watch a guy go out and be very skilled.
It's more tactical. It's similar to, Mayweather.
Yeah, I don't understand why people complain about Mayweather.
Right.
They watch a Mayweather fight, it's boring, and he beats the guy pretty convincingly over the 12 rounds, you know. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. I mean, he makes good guys look stupid. He makes good guys miss and not score, and he scores just enough to win rounds, which is, like I said, it's amazing what he can do.
Right.
As a fighter.
Yep.
Is it fun to watch? Not really. Not to me.
Right.
But it is what it is. I mean, he can't argue with his results.
Right.
I mean, he's still biggest paydays, biggest everything. Yep. So, more power to him.
Now, what is the year that you would say that MMA, that UFC really took off? When did you notice, because you talked about 1997, but when did you say, wow, this is something that's really
Okay, that's easy.
big?
2005.
2005.
When we started doing the Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I did the Ultimate Fighter, and I got in an argument with my manager at the time, and he actually quit. He's probably kicking himself for that, but because I still paid him for the remainder of that contract, but then after that, he didn't have to get paid anymore. But I'm sure he's kicking himself for that. Mm-hmm. But, because Dana said, man, you need to be on this show, and he wanted to hold out and, let's just hold out and wait out for more money. And I said, well, I'm going to take my chance. I need to be on this show. This is what we need. We need to be on free TV. Mm-hmm. We need people to get to see what we're about, and that will get us there.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, I went from I could walk around a mall and look around and say, okay, that guy probably knows who I am. That guy probably knows who I am, and that guy probably knows who I am. To old ladies walking up and going, hey man, I saw you last night. Great job. Okay, who are you? It went that quick. I mean, from after week 2, week 3 of airing the show, random people are coming up to me everywhere. So,
well, I got to tell you, that brings up something that I want to talk about. That we're around, living in Hollywood. We're around a lot of celebrities. We're around a lot of people, and it's been really cool, kind of traveling and going out with you to see people's reaction, because there's just something about fighters in general, and especially champions and people that they look up to. The way that people react to you is incredible. And, we've been in situations where the Jonas Brothers are with us, and more people are excited about meeting you than they are about meeting, some pop group, which is iconic and has a tremendous fan base. How do those type of situations, how do those make you feel? Michael Jordan, we were in New York, and Michael Jordan gave you a huge hug and a noogie on your head and was like, oh my God, I can't believe Chuck Liddell.
Now you're going through a lot of different things. Okay, fans, I mean, I appreciate my fans. I tell everybody I get paid a lot of money to do what I love for a living, and the fans are why. That's why I give them a lot of respect and a lot of out in public, do a lot of nice things. I think as a compliment, I get a lot of people, I never do this.
Right.
But for you, I had to come up and see if I get a picture or whatever, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I had Steve Young and Joe Montana. I was at a signing with them, sitting there and this is probably 08, maybe 07. And I was sitting in the back talking to them, having just a conversation with those guys about being an aging athlete.
Right.
And getting older and still fighting and still training and still doing stuff. And it was, to me, that was kind of crazy. Just having this, I was like, we're shooting the shot with guys that I looked up to when I was a kid watching football and playing and, growing up. So, I got a lot of crazy stuff. Got to do a lot of crazy things from the sport, and I got had a lot of fun things I've done, and I get a lot of respect from a lot of different people. That it's cool. I mean, I still think it's a little weird when someone gets so excited to meet me. That's always still for me. I'm pretty I'm a normal guy. It's just a guy. How you doing?
Yeah.
I had a buddy call me up at the gym, and he's this guy, I played football with him in high school, okay? He comes to the gym. Someone's like, this guy thinks he knows you at the gym. He's wondering if he gets some stuff signed. And I called, and he said, it's Alan Garcia. He's Alan, hey, man, put him on the phone. Hey, man, hey, Mr. Liddell, do you think, Mr. Liddell? What are you talking about? I used to eat with my grandparents at my grandparents' house. Grab a 12-pack.
Yeah.
Grab a 12-pack, come by the house, we'll barbecue. Right. We'll talk about the rest of tomorrow tonight. But people get so weird sometimes to me about meeting me. It gets a little strange for me.
Yeah.
People, problems, anything that moves. And if you use anything else, you should stop.
Okay, now as a spectator, what's your favorite fight of all time in UFC that you witnessed, that you watched?
I mean, that's hard because there's a lot of great ones. I mean, what we were just watching when they actually inducted in the Hall of Fame was the Matt Hughes Frank Trigg one. That was actually the night it was right before. I was in the back room watching because I was fighting right after. Okay. And I'm a big fan of Matt Hughes, a good friend of mine, and I don't like Trigg.
Right.
So the two things going, and Trigg hit that cheap shot, and they kind of stopped it, but then it didn't stop, and then hurt him. I mean, it was a pretty crazy fight. You got to watch it if you've never seen it. And I think it's the second fight of Matt and Trigg. And he drops him, and then when Matt picks him up and carries him across the cage and slams him, we went nuts in the back. I mean, I'm supposed to be getting ready for my fight. I fight next.
Right.
And actually, that same night, I go out and fight Randy. That was my second fight with Randy.
Yeah.
So that's when I got the title for the first time. So I mean, I was pretty fired up for that fight. I still get goosebumps when I hear his music coming out and to watch that fight. So
right.
It's pretty awesome.
Now, and now, how about as far as fights that you yourself participate in? Is there one that stands out that was your
the funny
favorite?
thing is, it would be that Randy fight that night because I'd lost to him before. I respect Randy; he's a great fighter, and I'd lost to him. And coming back and avenging my loss in impressive fashion. I mean, I knocked him out like I said I would, and just coming back and doing it, and finally getting the title I've been after for so long, been chasing, and I felt like. Even as a kid, like coming out of wrestling, I felt like I choked at state. I just didn't do. I should have beat this guy. I should have beat that guy. I should have, but I made a mistake, like a last-minute mistake, and I just felt like I almost got there and just never got there. And that was my point where I finally pushed over that hump.
Right.
Now I did. I finally got this thing I've been after forever. This is it.
Yeah.
So that was probably the most excited I've been. After a knockout like that, I think I went a little nuts afterwards. It was fun.
Conor McGregor, he's somebody that's very, very talked about right now in the UFC. Amazing support from the Irish fan base. It's been incredible. A couple of the fights that I've been to, it's been really neat to see somebody from across the pond, so to speak, have that fan base. What do you think of him as a fighter? His fighting style? How far do you think he can go with this whole thing?
I love his fighting style. I mean, come on. I'm not a big fan of the big mouth and the talking a lot of trash and that stuff. But some people like it. I bet a lot of people like it, and he likes to do it. And whatever he does, and whatever mental games you need to play with the other guy. And I bet that's a lot of what that is playing mental games. I play mental games with other guys. I just don't do it in that brash way.
Right. Now it has to be cool for you because he is a huge Chuck Liddell fan and was a guy that almost geeked out the first time he met you. So it's got to be cool to watch him go from that to where he is now. It makes
me feel a little old sometimes, but it is cool. Like I had another kid that posted a picture of me and him, and he said, "Man, I met him, and I think it was actually at the same fight McGregor met me at, and I'm fighting in the UFC tomorrow night."
Right.
It's kind of a lot of guys. I get a lot of people. Hey, man, I started MMA because of you. I was a big fan of yours. That's why I started.
Right.
And that's really cool.
Now we talk about big business. What kind of hold is this? What is this called?
It's called Danny. It's called Danny. I want your attention.
It's a pretty strong hold.
I'm tired of you talking to this guy. I want you to play with me.
That's a pretty strong hold.
I'll be a phone. There's my Ariel.
Now she's happy. So we're talking about big business, and UFC just made the deal with Reebok. So now you are known for your iconic hair, which you still have, your blue toenails, your trunks with the icicles on them. How do you think that deal affects those type of characters and those type of personalities being able to come out?
I mean, I don't know that it affects personalities that much. I mean, now we were just trying to get people to remember us. You know, like that. We didn't have the exposure you have now. If you've got a personality and you have a good style of fighting and you can fight, you got all the avenues to get your name out there and put yourself out there and put your appearance out there. We didn't have all that back then. We were struggling to get. You know, we were fighting. We're in Boston. I was in Boston with Dana, you know, taking meetings with the paper, trying to get them to put us in the leisure section,
right?
to cover us in the leisure section. And I mean, nowadays they call me, nowadays they come up and ask me for my opinion about vacation spots,
right?
You know, it's a totally different swing now.
All right, so right now I'm going to put you in the timeout penalty box. I'm going to ask you some questions. You just need to answer as quickly as possible. All right? Favorite superhero?
I have to say Batman or I'm getting in trouble.
Batman? All right. If you could play one other professional sport, what would it be?
Football.
Football? Okay. Favorite food?
Ooh, that one's tough. I love food. I'm a food person. Anything that's rich and good.
Rich and good. So
yeah.
Cannolis.
Cannolis are awesome.
All right. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Be honest, home.
Home?
I like being home with nothing to do. Hey, you got to get out of that. You can't see me when you do that. Yeah, I always tell people that. Like, I travel a lot. And there's a lot of great places we've been. I've had a lot of fun in a lot of places. I like Hawaii. I liked Australia. We had a blast there with the family. Ireland was amazing. A lot of places, but all in all, I'd rather just, if I could just sit here with my family and friends and be here and relax in the back, I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. And chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Okay. One other question that has nothing to do with the timeout, but I want to talk about, because we've talked about it in the past, who was the big influence in your life? Who would you say is your personal hero?
Well, between my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mom, you know, they both raised me. So without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I mean, my grandpa taught me a lot of things. And I mean, my grandpa thought, you know, when I was 19 years old, he told me I could beat Mike Tyson. He told me I could be champion of the world. And, you know, it's a sad thing for me is, you know, to me, I still have a hard time with the fact. You know, we talk about it. You usually get choked up, but sometimes if I get caught by surprise, I get choked up a lot of times because he never got to see me fight in the UFC. He never got to see me be champion. But I mean, since I was 19 years old, he thought I could be the girl Iron Mike, and you know, I laughed when he said it, you know, but you know, it turned out I ended up being world champion. It's a different sport.
You made it happen. Now, what advice would you have for collegiate wrestlers that are trying to make the transition into mixed martial arts?
You know, the biggest thing for me with them is get with a good coach, get with a good team, and you know, don't forget where you came from. If you want to be the top nowadays, you're gonna have to get to a point where you can blend everything together, but don't forget where your strong point is. Don't forget your strength.
Awesome. All right, well, it's been a pleasure as always. This has been the Iceman Chuck Liddell. You can follow him on Instagram at
the official Chuck Liddell.
The official Chuck Liddell. I'm at Davo Philly. What's that?
Someone took Chuck Liddell.
I'm at Davo Philly. This has been Princess Guinevere. Do you want to say anything, Gwenny? No? You got nothing?
You can follow her at Liddell if you want.
That's true. All right. We'll see you next time on Time Out.